We've just left another action-packed episode behind. This chapter answered many of our burning questions, but it also brought even more mysteries to the table. First, let's talk about that unexpected opening scene. The Shadow Garden is actually a crucial location that we should have seen back in season 1. When the first season aired, the production team wasn't sure if the series would continue, so they skipped some parts that were meant for the long run. The Shadow Garden was one of them. Actually, we did get a glimpse of it before. Remember when Betelgeuse possessed Subaru's body? That dark, misty realm he entered was the Shadow Garden. But what exactly is this place, and why is it so important? Let me explain. The Shadow Garden is a void-like realm where Subaru goes every time he dies. It exists outside of space and time, meaning time doesn't flow here. Subaru arrives here first before his return by death triggers. While the anime and light novels don't show this every single time, the source material confirms he visits it after every death. And as we saw in this episode, there are rare cases where he can enter the Shadow Garden without actually dying. In this realm, Subaru doesn't have a physical body. No legs, no hands, no eyes, and no mouth. He is purely a consciousness. But here's the strange part. Whenever he's here, he feels a deep, overwhelming love for Satella. Even without physical senses, he can feel her presence nearby. He longs to touch her, to embrace her, and finds peace in her existence. Even more interesting, every time Subaru gains a new witch factor, he gets closer to her. In the beginning, Satella was so far away she had to reach out with shadowy hands. But now, with Subaru holding 2 authorities, she is close enough to actually touch him. Subaru often mentions that certain conditions haven't been met yet. It's pretty obvious those conditions are the authorities. Once he collects all 7, the barrier between him and Satella will finally vanish. But why doesn't he tell anyone? Simple. He can't remember. The moment he leaves the Shadow Garden, all his memories of the place are wiped clean. Now, let's look at the other big reveal. Our group finally meets the mysterious lady of the tower, Shaula. We find out she isn't actually the sage. Instead, she claims that her master, Flügel, is actually Subaru. She bases this entirely on his scent. I'm sure you've all seen a million theories about Subaru and Flügel being the same person. But if they are, why doesn't the face on the currency look like Subaru? Well, here's the catch. While Flügel, Reed, and Volcanica are legendary heroes, Flügel isolated himself from history. No one outside his inner circle knows what he really looked like. The image on the coin is just a placeholder. When Flügel gave all the credit for his achievements to his apprentice Shaula, his name faded over 400 years, and people began calling Shaula the Sage instead. Another key detail in this episode is the Pleiades Watchtower. Pleiades is the English name for the star cluster known as Subaru in Japanese. In Greek mythology, these are the 7 sisters. Just as the Subaru star cluster contains 7 main stars, it's highly likely that our Subaru will eventually hold 7 authorities. Flügel, the man who built this tower, clearly knew Subaru would end up here and wanted to leave him a message. The trial they faced is proof of that. It could only be solved by someone with knowledge of astronomy from our world. But even that isn't enough. You also need a connection to the name Rigel. The trial had 2 possible answers, Betelgeuse and Rigel. We know from the IF stories that Subaru loves the name Rigel enough to name his son after it. This wasn't just a test, it was a personalized riddle meant specifically for Subaru. So, how did Subaru become such an astronomy nerd? Back in school, his teacher gave him an assignment to find the meaning of his own name. While researching Subaru, he fell in love with the stars, and astronomy became his obsessed hobby. How did Flügel know this? Well, either Flügel is Subaru, or the author Tapi is playing a massive trick on us. And Flügel is actually the teacher who gave Subaru that assignment in the first place. Finally, I want to talk about the pages seen in the ending theme. Some fans have translated them, and they describe a story about a man with trust issues meeting a village woman. Some say this is Flügel's backstory, but honestly, I think it's just a random page. Putting such a massive spoiler in plain sight seems a bit too obvious for this series. Yeah,